Okay, I am recording. I am officially recording. So, this video is going to be about my favorite apps I like to use when I go out and adventure in the outdoors. These are apps I use when I take people out as a coach and a guide to make sure we're safe and we have fun out there, because nothing is worse than getting out there on the water, getting out there on the mountain, and a thunderstorm blows in and there's lightning and wind. That is not fun, and it can be really dangerous. So I'm going to go over a couple of the apps on my desktop, and then we'll kind of cut to me a recording of my phone. And yes, hopefully this helps some people out as far as planning ahead. So right now, if you look at my screen, I have the Colorado Avalanche Information Center website pulled up. So I know that maybe a lot of you are not in Colorado, but for my Colorado followers and clients and participants, this is very useful. It is winter here now, and we have had a record number of avalanche injuries and fatalities over the last 5 years or so, mostly because so many people are moving to the state, and a lot of people are wanting to get out in the backcountry, but they don't necessarily have the knowledge and experience to do this safely. So this website is amazing. It's actually a nonprofit. And going to this, it forecasts avalanche conditions kind of like a weather forecast. So you can see here where it's kind of color coded, all fancy. At the bottom, we have this danger scale, and we're just going to go by colors. So green means go, red or black, extreme danger means never go out there in the backcountry during those types of conditions. So as we look at this map here, we have some green spots, very few green spots, mostly yellow, and one orange, which is considerable. So I'm just going to let's just click on the orange. Let's see where this takes us. So this is basically the entire, a big portion of the mountains, the main ski areas in Colorado, Breckenridge, Copper Mountain. You may have heard of those, at pretty considerable risk above tree line, or near tree line, above tree line. So if you're thinking about going out and doing some snowshoeing or cross-country skiing in these areas, I would just say forego that. Maybe let's find a green area. How do I zoom out of this thing? Let's go somewhere that's green. So let's go like right here, where we're safe no matter where we go if we're below or above tree line. My kind of rule of thumb is I don't go unless it's green. You know, if sometimes I'll consider doing a moderate area if I'm in a spot where I know the terrain, I've been there multiple times. I've looked at the elevation profile. I've looked at, I'm going to make sure I'm not in an area where I'm surrounded by steep peaks and steep grades. So I'm looking for like flat meadows for miles. But yeah, I mean, if we're going to these moderate areas and you're in some terrain where you're surrounded by those elements, like I just mentioned, that's also no-go. So this is not meant to be like an avalanche awareness class. That's something that you can actually find online. There's tons of avalanche awareness free classes online. Just knowing when not to go is probably the most important thing. There are tons of courses where you can go like spend 1 to 3 days out in the field and you're digging these snow pits, and that's great. It's good knowledge to have, but that doesn't help you if you don't even know when it's not safe to go, if that even makes sense, if that's kind of a word jumble. But use this website. Use it for your planning for your winter outdoor activities. So CAIC. Next site is an app called Windy, and I love this app for my paddleboard adventures. So I use this specifically for paddleboarding. This is meant to be on your phone, so it's a little clunky on the desktop, but I'm going to walk you through it the best I can. So download this app. There is a free version. I pay for the upgraded one, but just for like most people, just recreational paddlers, the free version is perfectly adequate. So it's gonna look a little different on your phone, but I have Spain pulled up here. I was gonna find somewhere a little windier. So you can pull up basically any location in the world. Let's see. Let's try Australia. Let's see if we can find somewhere in Australia that's windy. Ooh, yeah, look at that. So this darker purple means windier. So let's kind of zoom in and see if we can find somewhere I can give some good examples of when to go and when not to go. All right, so we're going to do Jervis Bay. Jervis Bay? Sorry, Australian people. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your city correctly. All right, so this is a great example. So windy, what we're looking at here is on the side, I have the miles per hour. So there's two of them, which can be kind of confusing. So the top one is our sustained wind. So that's just kind of like, what is a steady wind out there right now? And then this bottom one with little asterisk, that is our gusts. So gusts are most of the time going to be higher, obviously. And then we have other little items here. We have cloud cover, we have precipitation, swells. So if you're a surfer, that's kind of useful to have that. So you can plan out when you want to go out. As far as that, we have our tide, same thing. So I'm not talking about those. Again, yeah, getting off track as usual. Let's talk about wind. So right now we have 30 plus mile an hour sustained winds and 40 plus mile an hour gusts. That is an absolute no-go for paddleboarding. I'm actually going to click on this and we can have kilometers per hour. We have knots. So you'll see knots used a lot when it comes to water. So knots and miles per hour are pretty close, as you can see. There we go, miles per hour. So typically we don't want to be over a sustained wind of about 10 to 12 miles per hour or under 10 knots. And then gusts, we don't want gusts over 20 miles an hour. So 10 miles an hour does not seem like a lot, but when you're on the water and you're on this like really buoyant board, that wind is just going to be pushing you all over the place. I talked about this video being about planning for adventures for safety, but fun is also important. We want to go out there and enjoy ourselves. And when you're battling 10 mile an hour wind on your paddleboard, it's a workout. So, I mean, if that's your goal, you're like, my threshold is 10 miles an hour for safety. I want to go out and get a good workout and like paddle against the wind. Sure, go for it. But if you're more of a beginner / recreational paddler, it is not that much fun. And if you're not efficient, you don't have efficient paddle technique, you're just going to be battling that wind. And that's a situation where you can just be basically like blown way out in the middle of a lake, way out in the ocean. And then, you exhaust yourself and it's really hard to get back. Same thing with gusts over 20 miles an hour. It's really hard to push through those. And you can also be blown off your board. Your board can be blown through the water. It could strike you, it could strike another water user. So that can become a safety issue. And if you don't have your leash on, which you should always wear your leash, your board can be blown like feet, meters, miles, eventually miles away from you. And then you're just stuck out there just treading water, trying to like battle your way through waves back. And that's one thing with wind is it does create these little whiteheads, these waves. And, if you have some really strong winds and really strong sustained winds, those white caps can get pretty high. And again, if you're not wearing, we talked about wearing the leash, but if you're not wearing your life jacket, those waves are just going over your head and pounding you underwater. And that's where we see, I mentioned high avalanche injuries and risks or deaths in Colorado. Same thing with water deaths. It's really sad how many we've had over the last, again, like 5 years, just because so many people moving here and paddleboarding has really exploded and so many people are getting on the water and people are not trained, they don't have efficient technique, and then they're not wearing their PFD, their life jacket, or their leash, and then they're just caught unaware. So going back to, again, I went off on a tangent, but going back to this app, we're going to look at the wind forecast. So just looking at the weather forecast, we're going to plan ahead. So today we have these crazy 40 plus mile an hour gusts. Let's see, tomorrow looks a little better. And then as we go to Monday, Monday looks fantastic. So Monday would be the day I head out in the water. Let's see, at 10 a.m., 5 mile an hour sustained, 4 mile an hour gusts. That looks fantastic. 20 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is. It seems pretty warm to me. I guess it's summertime in Australia. So that seems like a lovely day to go on the water and splash around. So I'm going to use this windy app to basically plan my paddleboarding adventures when I can go out, and it'll be safe and it'll be fun and I don't have to battle against that wind. Hello, I am back, and I'm going to now share with you my two other favorite apps. These I'm going to do a screen share on my phone, so I'm going to be kind of looking down at my phone and watching that as I chat with you here on the desktop. These don't translate as well on the desktop, so it's a little easier if I can kind of show you some things from the app on the phone. So this first one is called Trail Run Project, And there are actually some other variations of this. There is the same company owns the Hiking Project, MTB Project, Powder Project. That's a new one. I will have to see what that is. But yeah, I love these. I know there's a lot of apps similar, like maybe some of you guys use, what's it called? All Trails. It's kind of similar. This is just the one I prefer. I think there's just so many functions for this. So I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to start playing my little video on my phone and kind of talking over that as we explore. So once you download this app, it's pretty cool because you can download different areas. So areas in areas in the US. All the states in the US are on here. And then there are also some international areas that you can download. So basically, once you download the area, all the trails are already loaded on your phone. And what's nice about that is if you pull up the app before you head out into the backcountry, you don't need GPS to be able to utilize it, as long as you have it pulled up when you do have service. So right now I am zooming in on the Denver area because I do live in Colorado, and I'm going to do a filter. So let's say I want to do like an easy to intermediate trail. So I'm going to filter for that, and I want to do something less than 10 miles, and 10,000 feet elevation gain. Okay, I'm going to bring that down to like 2,000 max. And I want a good rated trail, so I'm going to pick I want a 4-star or better trail. More filters. I want to bring my dog, so I'm going to filter for a dog-friendly trail and apply those filters. And as you can see, that 270, if I zoom in, I'm able to look at about 270 trails that are dog-friendly and beginner/intermediate friendly. That's pretty cool. So zoom in even more, and I identified the Trading Post Trail. This is close to Red Rocks Amphitheater, one of my favorite places in the world. It's beautiful there, concerts, famous artists from all over the place go and play there. And I have my little tool now. I'm kind of circling some elements you can look at. So we can look at ascent, descent, elevation at 6,500 feet. People will give reviews on here. And trail conditions, that's great. So we can see if somebody's posted recent trail conditions. And then, it's mentioned there about the dogs. You can have dogs there. They have to be leashed. And just tons more information about the actual trail. I can also view pictures here. And then if I click on the map, I can actually kind of follow along. If I click on the trail, I can kind of follow along the route and kind of look at, I can plan ahead. I can say, okay, at mile 0.3, it looks like I'm going downhill. And then at 0.8, elevation starts to go up again. So I know that I can plan on a slight downhill and a slight uphill. And clicking back on the picture, just kind of reviewing some of the items here. Driving directions, which is nice, so we can link it to Google or Apple Maps and map my way to the trailhead from there. So a lot of options here as far as planning for your adventures. You need to get 500 feet elevation gain for the day. You need to get X amount of miles, and you want it to be, kind of more beginner friendly. I can choose different states. So these are the states I've downloaded previously and explored. And yeah, it's just so versatile as far as how you can use this app. The next video, I'm going to talk about how to find yourself on the trail, as far as if you get lost or kind of disoriented on the trail. Say it's not an obvious path. Say there's some deer trails, or people have kind of created their own social trails. That's happened to me many times. I tend to kind of get lost on purpose sometimes because I want to explore what's around the next bend, and then you get around the next bend and you're like, oh, it's a dead end here. So next video, I am going to go over how to utilize the app to navigate. How does my hair look? Okay, I'm back again. I'm here with my last video using Trail Run Project to navigate. So here I have another one of my favorite trails. It is South Valley Park. And how I'm using this is we can see the trail in green here, and we can see myself as a blue dot on the trail. So if you zoom in a little bit, you can see there's a little arrow coming from the blue dot, and that arrow is basically showing me the direction I'm pointing. So I'm putting my phone in front of me here so you can see. What I'll do is, say I stumble onto a social trail and I can't tell which direction to go. I'll put my phone out in front of me and I'm able to turn my phone, and then I can see that little triangle point in the direction I'm pointing my phone. So I'm able to utilize my phone kind of like a little GPS or like a compass. Utilize my phone like a compass, and I can look at the app. So I'm looking at it right now, and I can see where the trail is in green. So I can point my phone and say, okay, I need that little triangle to point towards the trail, and I'm going to start walking that direction. So if you're looking at my recording on my phone, you can see, okay, I identified the trail, and I'm kind of just using this again like a compass to swing around and make sure I'm on the right path and the right track. Another great use for this is, say that I'm out in the backcountry and I twist an ankle or something happens that I'm going to need some rescue. I can use this as a tool to where I call 911, I call the rescuers, and I'm able to zoom in and find maybe like an access road, or I could say, hey, I'm on this trail, I'm on Coyote Song Trail, and it looks like there's a road coming in, a little bit further south near Swallow Trail, and I'll be, a quarter mile from there. So you can give exact directions to your rescuers so they know how to find you and kind of speed up that recovery. So yeah, I hopefully all of these tips help, and you're able to use these apps and discover more useful ways to use them for your planning, and you have some amazing adventures out there, and you have fun and stay safe. And yeah, I'd love to hear about your favorite apps in the comments. So if you have some favorite apps or you have different ways of using the apps I've shown you, I would love to hear all about those. Always up for learning something new. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to subscribe. Bye. I am going to share one of my last apps with you that I love to use. It is a weather app. It's called Weatherbug. Maybe you've heard of it. I use this more specifically for planning for thunderstorms and lightning. Lightning's a pretty big deal here in Colorado. I'm not sure if this statistic is correct. I've heard this a whole bunch of times. I probably should Google it, but Colorado is number 2 behind Florida in lightning strikes. I think lightning deaths from strikes. And I think part of this is just due to, I keep talking about how many people are out recreating in Colorado. It's a very outdoorsy state. People love getting outside and hiking and getting on the water. But I think, a lot of it is like the planning ahead and just knowing what you're in for. So using Weatherbug, it's not ideal on the desktop. So I have it pulled up on the desktop, but I'm going to be going back and forth between the screen share on my phone and just kind of walking you through the video I did earlier. So download the Weatherbug app, and what you can do is we can search for locations. So I saved a ton of locations, but for the purpose of today, I picked a random location in South America because I wanted to show thunderstorm activity. So when you download the app, you can kind of scroll through the home screen, and there's so many useful parts of this. We have like outdoor sports. Is it an ideal day to go outside? It's unfavorable. How does the air quality look? Are there allergens in the air? Is there pollution? Even fire risk. Oh, there's lightning. I circled that. Fire risk. We have those fires in LA. That's good to know. Hurricane. Is there going to be a hurricane? So many things are on this. And then we got lots of ads, so we're going to skip through those ads. So now I'm going to go to the 10-day view, and clicking on the little arrow at the top that I can actually look at all 10 days all at once. Lots of thunderstorm activity here. And then I click on the day, and I can get more details like the temperature, what percentage chance of storms. So pretty useful. And then details kind of just shows some more things. So I don't know if you noticed, I went through that really quickly, but we had the forecasted temperature of 87 degrees and the feels like temperature. So 98, holy moly, that is hot. So I like to look at the feels like temperature because whether it's hot or cold, like here in Colorado, we're having like an Arctic cold front come down, and the feels like could feel way colder based on wind chill than the actual forecast temperature. So super important to look at the feels like. Same thing conversely with warm weather climates, like you want to make sure you're planning ahead for your humidity. So we got heat index. So we have to factor in the humidity and, make sure we're planning as far as like how much water we need, what kind of electrolytes we need, what should we be wearing for the heat or the cold. All right, so I went off on a tangent again. Now we have the satellite view. This is super useful because I can click on this little square and well, I'm not clicking on the square, but I can click on the little square and I can say, okay, I want to look at the forecast or the radar an hour ahead, and let's see what's going to happen. I can monitor the thunderstorm activity, and I can say, so the clicking on, now I'm on the square. I'm jumping all over. I can look at the storm forecast. I can look at the 1 hour future radar, and I can see if storms are headed my direction. So I use this a ton when planning activities in the water, like my paddleboarding, because I can see a lot of times on the Front Range in the Denver area, these storms come over the mountains and you don't see them until the last minute. So it's not the kind of thing like you're on the plains and you can see the storm for miles and miles and miles away. All of a sudden the storm is just on top of you. So if I'm able to utilize the app to look at the track of this thunderstorm and I can say, okay, it's coming this direction, that really can help me out a lot. Next, lightning. So I mentioned planning ahead for lightning. It's very, very dangerous out here. I'm using the map again to look at, where are the strikes. And then if I click on the little ladybug icon in the top left corner, you can see right down below it had the lightning forecast. I can see where the strikes are, these cute little lightning strikes. And then I have this bullseye thing. And the bullseye shows 30, 20, 10. That's miles. So I'm in the middle of the 10 right now, the red dot. And if the lightning gets within that 10-mile zone, I need to get out of there. I need to get indoors. I need to get out of that area. So by pressing the refresh button at the bottom, I refresh that every 10 to 15 minutes to see where the lightning is going, where it's tracking, and is it getting closer and closer within those rings. And that way I know when to go indoors. Right now I'm looking at air quality, so that's important for you're going to go on a really hard run or ride. We want to make sure that we're not breathing really bad polluted air. If you have allergies, you can look at that. And then I can just maybe I want to look at some other locations on there. So hopefully that helps you to plan ahead and be safer outside. Taking all those considerations as far as temperature, we talked about heat index and wind chill, and that's download Weatherbug. I love it. All right, bye.